Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about the best mutant champions to take up to rank 3 as 7 stars. And well, as always, the necessary disclaimer that these are my own personal thoughts and opinions. We all obviously play the game differently, have different preferences, and I'm sure that I'm not going to mention some champions that many of you have ranked and love and enjoy, so on and so forth. But additionally, we need to actually head out of the Aunt May to start this because, well, unfortunately, Aunt May updates haven't been as frequent recently, and some of the newer champions are not in there. So we are going to start with champion whom I'm going to give spot 7 to. As always, I will discuss whether these champions should or should not be awakened, whether that changed my, idea or hope or desire to rank them up. And then exactly the reasons why. So we're going to start off in 7 with Dust. We probably could place her higher, but truth be told, Dust kind of had an underwhelming entry in the contest initially. She definitely is far from the most hyped champion of the year. However, she's kind of growing on me. I have seen her do quite a lot of cool stuff recently with War, especially seeing that she is ex-Magic attacker as well. Obviously has access to prowess effects and has quite a bit of quirky utility on top of being a fairly solid defender. Now there are obviously direct counters to her, and once you learn to dex her special attacks and kind of her abilities, she's not the hardest champion to work around, but at the same time she does have plenty of immunities that kind of eliminate a lot of attackers against her. And the glancing is always annoying, and unavoidable damage and disabling of willpower will make any chip damage stack, which is extremely valuable for the Battlegrounds game mode in general. So overall, I do think if you have a 7-star Dust and none of the champions higher on this list necessarily, then I think she's definitely about as solid rank 3 target as you can get. Now keep in mind she's still subject to balancing. In case of Dust, I see her more likely getting tuned up than down, to be honest. So if you rank up Dust, I wouldn't be too worried about the balance deadline, unlike some other champions, right? And moving on to spot number 6, I'm going to have to give it to Nightcrawler. Now, here is the caveat. With Dust, I do think she's usable unawakened. I do think that awakened ability, is fairly significant, but I do think she's fairly workable unawakened as well. Doesn't change that much for her in most of the matchups. When it comes to Nightcrawler, I do think that the only way I do rank him up personally is if effectively you spend some money on the game, get some of those Valiant or Paragon daily deals, get enough stamps to dupe him at the very least, and then he becomes immediately much more attractive. And the reason for that is because a lot of Nightcrawler's damage is in the dupe ability, because depending on the SIG level, you effectively can double, well, you can effectively double or triple his instant bleed damage and critical rating. So that's quite huge. That means a lot of his damage does lie behind the dupe. And if you're not going to be able to dupe him, he's going to be significantly worse as an attacker and still pretty much the same as a defender. Well, just again, not the same, worse, because again, that tech champion ability accuracy reduction clause is quite helpful in the fair few matchups too. So yeah, if you can awaken Nightcrawler, I think he's a very good option to choose to select for a rank 3. I do know that immediately eliminates quite a lot of players. One of the reasons why I absolutely cannot rank him higher, even if he was just a regular champion release. I don't know if I would place him much higher than this, but overall I think he's quite solid. Obviously, he has his defensive tricks. He can catch people off guard. The thing with Nightcrawler is that one await can finish off the match, but in general, I must say his tune-up actually, I quite like it. It's growing on me. I took my 6th at rank 5 because of the AI interaction with his switching. Is basically broken. He's incredibly hard to switch often too. But that's for now. That's just bugged, so that's going to go away. Either way, the Blue Smurf, I think, is a solid 7-star to look at if you spend money on the daily deals and are able to dupe him. Great. Now, for the rest of it, we can actually jump to Aunt and discuss the next champions. And then I'm going to go with Sunspot. Sunspot is just a mutant nuke, realistically. He has 0 defensive value. He has 100 offensive value. And rank 2 or rank 3 Sunspot is always scary to stare down. He would be a great questing champion too, with how quick he can finish out the fights. Obviously, access to Incinerate immunity, tons of debuffs, extra power gain, special pump prowesses. He's just a solid offensive nuke type champion, with his perfect block coming more often in handy, especially in recent times when Kabam is kind of pushing the block damage in a lot of nodes. And he can be ranked up unduped as well, for sure. Especially at rank 3, unduped Sunspot will still probably have enough oomph and reach to just about destroy anyone in the game. And therefore, I do think Sunspot is extremely solid option, especially if you're looking for a pure nuke type champion. Then moving on is going to be Bishop. I have a rank 3 Bishop myself. He's again one of those champions who absolutely can rank up unawakened, just like Sunspot. So that's a huge upside too. And I love Bishop. He's solid on defense. Nothing absolutely crazy, but the fact that if you miss Dex the level 2, you're going to take a ton of damage. If you let him shoot level 1, the Incinerates come into play. Obviously, he has huge energy resistance. There are specific debuffs and things that you can't place on him, or you're going to be taking damage back. And offensively, he is a great counter to most of the skill champions that level 2 can absolutely destroy. He synergizes extremely well with a bunch of mutant nodes for questing and stuff like Act 4, Thronebreaker EQ, and whatnot. And I get a ton of use out of him. Now, is he the best option? He's up there. He's up there. He was one of my first rank 3s. I do not regret it. Obviously, there are times and matters where he will not work, just like about any champion. But in general, I like the fact that at the very least, he will have a moderate defensive value in the worst case scenario, should you choose to rank him up. And Bishop is definitely to be respected. So who's above Bishop? Well, to me, I like Havoc more, especially with several of the recent changes and matchups. And I have a 6-star rank 5 Ascended Havoc, so obviously I like both of these champions a lot. It's just that I don't have a 7-star Havoc. But if you have pulled the 7-star Havoc, he's also a champion that you can absolutely rank up unawakened. Awakened ability is nice, of course. Unlike Bishop, it is actually, affecting the fight. With awakened ability, you can kind of ramp up faster. But even unawakened, he's, maintaining all of his core charges. And he's quite similar in a lot of ways, where he has his immunities, he has his energy resistance, he has his massive special burst, level 3 and nuke just about anything. A rank 3 Sunspot, I believe, would nuke everything and anything. His access to damage over time with his feedback damage on heavy attacks, which is something I absolutely love. Non-contact mediums to make him a great counter to Korg and Atumas and so on and so forth. And obviously a fairly good defender, especially in some more specific metas. But in general, I think Havoc is still somehow underrated and slept on. And with the increase in the hazard shift nodes, obviously he's been absolutely phenomenal for that. With Magic, X-Magic and Magic Thief seasons being here, him being the tactic attacker obviously is tremendously helpful for him too. Access to extra prowesses and just being able to deal with the defensive tactic. Yeah, hazard shifts, get some shocks into him, take significantly less shock damage, and just, watch opponents explode. He has a great Onslaught matchup, which is something that a lot of people will love too. And Havoc in clean slate scenario would be probably my favorite mutant rank up. I'm not gonna say he would be the best one, because we have a couple of champions to look at still. But he's also like a personal favorite of mine. I loved him. I took him to rank 5 quite early, put in tons of work for me. I have Ascended my 6-star, still putting in tons of work for me. Cannot say enough good things about Havoc. Then next up is Domino as the second best option. With Domino, I have seen unawakened Dominos being ranked up, but I wouldn't do that. I personally waited until I duped my Domino, and then I chose to rank her up, and she's probably going to be my next rank 3, based on who I have available, and the fact that I have already ranked up Bishop, of course. But yeah, Domino is just crazy good. Definitely regained a lot of value because of Balgron. She's just one of those champions where you either have a good counter for, or you just lose the round. Extremely underrated offensively. I do love the fact that Mr. Sinister Relic now exists, giving her extra power too, unlocking her level 2 ability, increasing that damage if she had been bled before in the fight. And it's just working perfectly, obviously giving her more power as well. Definite double threat, like two-way threat in the game, and one of the kind of like flagship signature defenders as well, just because of the crit fail damage, the evades, and everything else that Domino does, because she does Domino things. Bipolar Bimbo to the last. Offensively as well, can have the best fight in the world. I think I had like a 30-second Killmonger kill in last season, and then obviously same fight can take 80 seconds if you don't get lucky. But that is, the biggest downside for me with Domino, that there is quite a lot of luck involved, which is befitting, which means Kabam designed her well. I know. But yeah, no. She's definitely a tremendous option and one of the best mutants right now. So who's above Domino? Obviously, it's Onslaught. Now, unlike Domino, Onslaught's perfectly cool to rank up unawakened as well, in my opinion, because his awakened ability, it gives him a little bit, can block special unblockable attacks from skill champions. That's cool. Daunted potency is slightly increased, and for each non-damaging debuff or personal non-damaging passive on the opponent, Onslaught special attacks gain a bit of block penetration. So it's not really, it's nice to have, but it's not a must-have awakened ability. And obviously Onslaught, you could argue that Onslaught's possibly now the best mutant in the game. And that's cool, because he has a ton of offensive utility. He's not going to be the fastest attacker, but he has a ton of amazing matchups he can do for sure. And obviously he's also a defensive threat, without question. Now, people are getting more and more used to fighting him, but he's still one of those champions where if you parry something by accident, willpower is permanently switched off. If you, misdex a special attack, you're done. There's that crush that you need to work around. He's just a finicky champion to fight, even if you are comfortable fighting him, because there's always a lot of things happening, which is, making the fights difficult. His non-contact attacks, again, similar to Havoc, even more so because he has more of the non-contacts, give him many good matchups as well, allowing him to, easily deal with Korgs and Atumas, stuff like that. Has a ton of Everest content value as well, because you can ramp him up completely and keep him ramped up for long periods of time, allowing him to do a ton of damage. And overall, just an absolute powerhouse of a champion that has been released into the contest. Now, he's up for balancing, but I don't really think he's going to end up getting changed at all for most part. But it is still worth pointing out. But yeah, I do think that Onslaught is the best rank 3 option in the mutant class that exists right now. Now, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys found it useful. And if you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the good buttons. And I am going to catch you guys later. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the